Hey, what's up, gamers? Enforcer 5150 here. I am being joined with Cleston and Steamcat. We haven't seen her on here in a while, but yep, she is back, and we are going to go ahead and discuss some of the changes in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. But the most thing that I wanted to talk about was the mini map dots that are coming up, and some people are kind of getting overraged on it, in my opinion. But I also have these two here that we are going to discuss it a bit. So everybody want to say hello?
Howdy, y'all.
Hey, everyone.
Now, the one thing we're going to tackle right away is minimap dot rules. So far, what we have is pro players are saying, you shouldn't have the minimap dot, which is kind of a normal thing. And then you have a pretty big chunk of the casual players out there. And I'm going to be clear here that, yeah, I play Call of Duty a lot, but I am definitely in the category of casual player. And I really don't agree with this majority of casual players. It's just weird. But for the final word from Infinity Ward, they say currently in the MW2 beta, we only show enemy player dots when a UAV is active. The design reason for this is that we do not want to punish players for firing their weapons. We also want players to actively search out the origin of the gunshot versus just traveling directly to where the dot is on the minimap. We continue to gather feedback on how the game is playing in regards to this topic. So, my position, I am kind of siding a little bit with the pro players. I really don't think we should have the minimap dots on there as a perk. It's all right, but yeah, you should be using your headphones to hear things. They have an advanced directional audio in Modern Warfare 2. It's actually pretty decent from what I found in the PlayStation version. That's just me, and that's just my opinion. So, what do you guys think?
I'm pretty good with the dots. Like normally, like to be fair, my biases are always in favor of more accessibility to most players. Like while I agree that giving perfect information on somebody when they're shooting, like having a dot on the mini map can be super problematic, but not having anything at all, disadvantages people without like good headphones or people who have hearing issues. I'm saying, doesn't have to be just a perfect dot, but giving out information visually like that is super valuable for the casual and otherwise crowd. So I'm kind of feeling it, you know?
Huh. I actually like the point that you brought up with the hearing issues, because there are a lot of people out there that have, some hearing disabilities, and yeah, they're always sometimes at a disadvantage, and you can't really just have it for everybody. But, something like a perk thing, the UAV is nice to have, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to still side with it because of the hearing issues. Clifton, do you have any thoughts on it?
So I'm a little middle of the road. I don't really care one way or the other. I'm one of those people that when I'm playing, I get kind of focused in on what I'm doing. I don't really pay attention to the mini map or really the map at all, unless I'm going for a more strategic view, in which case information like that is actually really useful to know. Okay, if you go rushing in here, you're going to die. So be more cautious, employ
Yeah.
tactics to get into places.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a tactical game. Having it always on, kind of like we kind of a little bit discussed before, is that we had like, do we want to just have free information, and not have to work for it? I do like, you can like, and I think it's Warzone, where we can get a perk that you can see when people shots are fired, but you also lose other things. You have to sacrifice something for it, so you kind of have to pay to get something like that. Just like a UAV, if you get a UAV up, you see everybody's dot regardless, unless they have dead silence on, or they have a perk that the cold-blooded to stop them from being able to be seen.
Yeah, like I'm not against like an opportunity cost for this information. Yeah, perk totally thing, or maybe even like a sound scope where people like get some directional, like a directional enhancement for the minimap where it says, "Hey, sound coming from this direction." Not against that, but like I said, I usually come down on the side of make it easier for more players to engage.
Yeah, that brings me to some of the footsteps that they have. They actually did is they reduced the range of the footsteps. Now, you two haven't played the PlayStation beta as I have this last week. You can hear them at a good range. I would say within the mini map a little bit shorter than how you see in the minimap, you're able to hear them. What they're doing is they want to reduce the audio for the footsteps, and what they want to do is make it more distinctive between enemy player footsteps and your own team's footsteps, so you can be more distinctive. Kind of agree with that, and I think that's a good idea that they're shortening it a little bit, because you shouldn't be able to hear something clear as day that's like halfway across the map. But
I mean, it depends how crazy they want to go with the sound physics models, though.
Yeah, well, what I hear is that, I mean, what I got on PlayStation was using a USB headset, so it was just straight stereo. I didn't have that full directional audio. But what they talked about is that they really, bumped up how well the directional audio is going to work, almost as close to, say, back in the early 2000s with EAX. If it was the last time you heard that.
The footstep change sounds interesting, but I can also see that's going to be very heavily exploited, because all you have to do is route your audio through some kind of mixer, and you can tell it to focus on what kind of sounds you want to. You'll be able to basically, you'll have these people who are completely ignoring all their allied footsteps, and they only hear their enemies.
Oh, that's a good
I
point.
mean, yeah, that's kind of a thing.
So basically, you could just try. If you have a distinct sound of that, you could pretty much easily right away to just completely cancel out your own team's footsteps.
Yep. I mean, anyone who messes with audio mixing software can find that's relatively easy to do. You just find the correct sound waves.
That's understandable, but cheaters going to cheat in that respect.
But why make it easy?
True.
Yeah, it would be something that Ricochet wouldn't be able to pick up either, seeing that it would be externally done. So that is a good point.
One other thing that we're talking about is visibility during a firefight. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Yeah, so they made the muzzle flashes a little bit too much. So like when you're firing on somebody, you basically, the muzzle flash and smoke from your gun makes it so you cannot really see what's in front of you. So if you start firing, say someone comes around a corner, and you see them down a ways, you start firing at them, it's almost impossible to see them because there's so much smoke and muzzle flash out of it. If they fire back at you, you can't see anything. That was before. It seems like they're trying to change this a little bit. It seems like what they're trying to do is reduce the smoke that comes out of your own muzzle and the flash that comes out of your own muzzle, and then reduce the muzzle flash or increase the muzzle flash for you, like seeing when they shoot at you.
Well, I mean, if they want to keep the smoke in there, they could just change all the guns to bore-loaded muskets.
I do see sort of like the idea of having that sort of like almost a punishment for going full auto in a firefight, though, just because if you're firing that much, you're going to be blind, But on the other hand, silencers would actually be a little more useful since you're hiding your own muzzle flash somewhat as well.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they incorporate that into, having, that muzzle flash, having, a silencer or a compressor, compensator, something like that, and they bring it down enough, and it makes more sense that way. It makes it more realistic in a way. So I definitely see that being a positive thing if they do it that way. Not like you have a silencer on and you have this huge flash coming out of it when you're firing.
I mean, silencers not just for snipers anymore.
That's true.
But I guess this comes back to how much information you want to give for free.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Like, do you feel like like Modern Warfare is drifting toward a little bit more towards milsim?
A little bit more than I want to say. It's hard to say because that was one of the reasons why I got away from it, because they weren't going enough toward it and they were getting too arcadic. Like it was kind of just turning into an arcade game. And this is like a little bit I'd say, original Modern Warfare 2 that came out. And I think they're trying to go a little bit more toward simulation. A lot of the stuff that we've seen in some of the videos that they put out on us was, they're getting realistic sounds. They have, sound designers getting up there with helicopters for ground war. They're getting up there with every type of weapon to make sure it sounds exactly like an original weapon. So a little bit.
So they need the visual designers to actually see what the weapons look like when they're fired off. That would give them an idea of what the flashes should look like, what the smoke should look like.
Oh yeah,
and if you compare it to Warzone, you don't see anything there.
Yeah, Warzone. I think they optimize it down quite a bit from the multiplayer game because of how many people that are in each match.
Yeah, but I mean
Uh,
that's still not really an excuse. There's another game out there that's always been very militaristic compared to Call of Duty, which is one of its major competitors, and it does these things.
You talking about Battlefield or
Yep.
yeah,
Uh, yeah.
Battlefield were the first ones that actually started taking actual weapons, and their sound design is actually doing what Call of Duty is doing now, is just getting those actual sounds and everything. But even with Battlefield, they kind of drifted away. It's kind of like they're drifting opposite directions of each other. Call of Duty is trying to become more like Battlefield, and Battlefield was trying to go more toward Call of Duty. And Battlefield, they kind of messed up pretty bad because the people that liked Battlefield, they liked it because of how it was. They don't like smaller maps. They don't like the archaic type of feel to play. But you have a lot of these designers out there like, oh well, it's working for Call of Duty. Why don't we try to put some of that in there? And I'd say Battlefield players are a lot more strict than Call of Duty players, if you ask me.
yeah, I actually liked Modern Warfare 2, the original one, because it was so arcadey and it was so like low time to kill and just respawn and have a big dumb almost deathmatch feel to it.
Yeah,
And I kind of like that about Warzone too. It's because you're not super penalized. You're not like forced to take a slow and methodical approach unless you really want to, and you can just play how you want. But with Milsim games, if you do dumb stuff, you're going to get picked off by the person who is, checking all the corners, watching the angles, taking it slow and methodically, and camping and all that good stuff.
yeah, and that's what you should be able to do in a large scale map like that. Camp if you need to, but then
Yeah.
you have your circle that closes in on you.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, the circle forces movement.
yeah,
Well, I'd say that's one of the good things about the new Ground War system is it's going to allow for that mix of gameplay styles, just like they're really hoping for.
yeah, and I think the ground war is really trying to be like Battlefield in a lot of ways. They really have been. I mean, it's almost the same type of game with Call of Duty weapons.
I haven't played Battlefield in quite a while. It's been a long time since I've played a modern
It's
Battlefield game, but
yeah. It
one
feels
thing
like a
I
death
always liked about
franchise.
it was the commander role. I don't know if that's still a thing in Battlefield,
They messed
but
up the
where
roles
you
pretty bad.
actually have a commander, who kind of acts as your strategic leader for your side. An aspect like that in Ground Wars, that would be great, especially with the changes for the mini map and different and your strategic weapons. Give those to the commander instead of to the individual soldiers.
Yeah,
The soldiers are required to achieve objectives for the commander to be able to make use of things.
exactly. And I really hate that they got rid of this. I can't remember which Battlefield it was. I think it was Battlefield 3 or 4. Pretty sure it was 4. Or no, it had been at least 3. They had it so that you could have a tablet. If you had a tablet, you can go in as just with your tablet and be in the actual game, and you could have people go to here, here, here. You can mark it. You could call on the airstrikes for people when they called them in, and that was amazing. But they never brought it back after that. After that one, that kind of sucked. That was an amazing achievement that they pulled off. All right, so that is all we're gonna do for this video today. The beta starts tomorrow, which is September 22nd. It should be Central Time at noon. Hopefully, we will have some live streaming from myself. We may have Cluston joining us. Steamcat may be joining us from the PlayStation side, and hopefully, we get some of these things. Tell us what you think. What you think about the red dot rules, because that thing is just I think it blew up ridiculously, and some people are just idiots. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching this video today. Make sure you hit that like button. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel. Y'all take care and happy gaming.